This October, as the air turns crisp and the veil between worlds thins, we entered a sacred time of remembrance and reclamation. We celebrate Hoodoo Heritage Month, a time to honor, praise, and delve into the profound spiritual systems birthed from the resilience and ingenuity of our African American ancestors. This is not about Halloween. This is about heritage. Hoodoo, also known as conjure, root work, or working the roots, is not a religion but a spiritual practice, a system of African American folk magic. It is a living tradition forged in the fiery crucible of American slavery, born from the profound need for survival, protection, and autonomy. Its beginning were humble, desperate, and powerful. Enslaved Africans, ripped from their diverse homelands and spiritual systems, did a miraculous thing. They syncretized, they blended the foundational spiritual principles and knowledge of herbs, minerals, and spirits from West and Central Africa, from cultures like Nigeria, Bakongo, Yoruba, and Dahomey, with the practical herbal lore of Native Americans and the symbolic framework of other practices. Also utilizing biblical scriptures they encountered in the Southeast. This was not a mere mixing, but a strategic creation of a new spiritual technology for a new and brutal world. The religion, or the region, it was born from was the entire American South, with each state developing its own unique flavor. Alabama Hoodoo, for instance, carries a deep, potent energy rooted in the red clay soil and the relentless spirit of those who worked it under the lash. It is a tradition steeped in the power of the land itself, the rivers, the trees, and the very earth that held both their pain and their power. For Black people, hoodoo was never a superstition. It was a necessary tool for survival and sovereignty. Its purpose was multifaceted: protection to ward off harm from slave masters and overseers and other threats. Charms and mojo bags were crafted for invisibility and safety. Justice. When the legal system was an instrument of oppression, hoodoo provided a means for spiritual justice, workings for crossing up or binding an oppressor were acts of resistance. Healing. With no access to adequate medical care, the knowledge of roots and herbs became the primary health care for the community. A root doctor was the first physician. I like to add that there were sets of what many would call superstitions of different rules and regulations were that would frighten the actual people to cross them. For instance, to let an umbrella up in a house would mean bad luck. I mean, these people were in fear, and even to today, people are in fear of something like that happening. Someone accidentally doing it or intentionally doing it out of childishness of some kind, because they said, I don't believe in that. Stepping on a crack, splitting poles. I mean, these things, once again, would put just terror in the minds of these people who were under this practice. And the list goes on. I'm just talking about a very few things that, I know myself as a person who has grown up here in the South. Okay. So um let's continue. Healing with no access to adequate medical care. The knowledge of roots and herbs became the primary health care for the community. A root doctor was the first physician. Not just that, I mean, we had midwives that birthed babies, and because, I mean, like, many did not have access to go to hospitals and doctors and stuff. So, there was a midwife that actually assisted in that and assisted in women like female problems. And she may even take on the role of just being the healer in that particular area. Agency. In a system designed to strip them of all power, Hoodoo was a way to exert control over one's own life, love, destiny. It was a declaration that their spirit could not be enslaved. Hope. It provided the hope for freedom, for reunion with loved ones. Like lots of the time, family members would be snatched away and sold off and sent off to different slave quarters. Some of them even committed murders or may have done something that angered the master and Missy, and they would have to flee for their lives. But these people wanted to be reunited with these people that had to flee, and they used the practices of hoodoo to try to draw them back to those loved ones. And they used it for a better future. Spells to cross over or run away were spells of liberation. The hope embedded in hoodoo is the unwavering belief that the spiritual world is active and can be petitioned to intervene in the material world for the betterment of the individual and the community. The practitioners, the hoodoo doctors and root workers, these were the revered figures in their communities, the keeper of wisdom, the root doctors, the community herbalist and healer. Their expertise lay in the medicinal and magical properties of plants, roots, and barks. They cured ailments, both physical and spiritual. The conjure doctor or the director, a practitioner skilled in the art of crafting spells, charms, and conducting spiritual work to influence events, people, and circumstances. They work with intentions of love, luck, justice, and protection. The hoodoo doctor, a term often used interchangeably, encompassing both root work and conjure. Legends of the craft. Famous hoodoo men and women. The tradition is carried by legendary figures whose power echoes through time, like Marie Laveau of New Orleans, the voodoo queen of New Orleans, whose influence also deeply touched hoodoo practices in the region. She was a powerful figure who helped the enslaved and the oppressed. On Caroline Dye of Arkansas, a famous seer and conjure woman so renowned that people from all over the South would travel to her for her readings and her help. It is also said that if you had an object that was missing and you wanted to reclaim it and get it back, she could tell you exactly where it was. Dr. Buzzard of South Carolina, perhaps the most famous root doctor of the 20th century, known for his powerful court case work and his commanding presence. James Jordan, the conjure man of Adams County, Mississippi, a well-documented figure known for his profound knowledge and successful workings. Ethel Harris, my auntie of Montgomery, Alabama. You all have seen her on YouTube. People came to her for her healing hands. She could pinpoint wherever disease was in your body and restore you. The triumph of hoodoo is its very survival. Despite centuries of demonization by the dominant culture that sought to erase all traces of African identity, the roots held fast. It was preserved in secret, passed down through whispers, and practiced in the hidden spaces. The downfall was the same demonization and the subsequent disconnection caused by the Great Migration, urbanization, and the rise of respectability politics within the black community, which often viewed hoodoo as backward. Today, we are witnessing a powerful resurgence. A new generation is actively reclaiming this heritage, digging through the red clay of history to find their roots. The interest is now global as people of all backgrounds seek authentic, earth based spiritual practices. For the descendants of its creators, this reclamation is an act of healing the ancestral wounds and reclaiming stolen inheritance. Why October? October was chosen for Hoodoo Heritage Month because it is a time when the spiritual and physical worlds are believed to be closest. It is a potent time for ancestral veneration, setting out plates of food, lighting candles, and speaking the names of those who came before us. Divination, scrying, reading cards, or casting bones to seek guidance. Protection work, crafting new mojo bags, or renewing the protection on your home. These rituals connect us to the timeless rhythm of our practice. The Hoodoo Heritage Month, we do not just study history, we honor a living, breathing tradition that will never die. We praise the ancestors who kept the fires burning in the dark of night. We give credit to the root doctors and the conjure women who were our first healers and freedom fighters. We touch the soil, we work the roots, we continue the legacy of using spiritual power to craft a world of protection, justice, and abundance. Ashe. And once again, happy Ancestral Hoodoo Heritage Month 9. Thank you for watching. Until next.